Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Gaming the System. And you have joined us, Alex, Jem and Matt. We are three intersectional feminists here to talk about gaming through a feminist lens. And today, as you can see, we are going to be talking about video game music, which we're all very excited about. But I think since we've had a little bit of a break from sort of podcasting on the regular, I think what we should first ask ourselves is, what have we been playing since we last spoke? And I guess I could kick off. I can start. In between the tennis, as you know, any hardcore listeners of the pod will know we've had a few tennis-based episodes due to my love of the sport. In between the tennis, I have been playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which I know Matt has thoughts and feelings about, but we're gradually getting through it and enjoying it very much, me and my other half. So yeah, that's the main thing we've been playing so far, and very much enjoying the sequel to the first Star Wars Jedi game. How about you guys? Jem, what have you been up to?
I have been playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
I have been eagerly awaiting Baldur's Gate 3 for about 20 years. I really enjoyed Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2, and Baldur's Gate 3 is not disappointing me at all. It's everywhere on all of the gaming chat at the moment. It's everywhere. And I have to say that I'm playing it on the PlayStation, which means that I got it almost a month earlier than I thought I was going to get it. And I know that console people like Matt are slightly disappointed because it keeps getting pushed back there a little bit. So I think it's coming out early September for console
I believe
gamers.
so. Yes.
But
Yeah.
it is awesome. It is like they've taken Divinity and Divinity Original Sin, which was amazing, and combined it with taken all the best bits from that and combined it with all the best bits from Dragon Age to make just a bloody awesome game. And it takes quite a lot to get me really like properly engaged and making time to game, especially at this time of the year when there's lots of stuff to be doing and there's lots of things to do outside and all of that, and I'm like, now I'm going to play Baldur's Gate 3, and I've literally played it every day since I started, which was, didn't start on the release date because I was away, but I came back home and I started it, and I basically played every day since. And yeah, I'm just really, really enjoying it. It's got excellent voice actors, it's got excellent storyline, it's got excellent game mechanics. Just ticks all of my boxes. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be doing a podcast just about that.
I think we should
at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do recommend it to everyone. And I really like, there was a sort of thread on is it Girl Gamers, the Reddit?
On Reddit, yeah.
Yeah. There was I always get it around the wrong way, but there was a thread on there for like everyone posting their characters, and everyone was like, I'm so in love with my character.
Oh.
Everyone has just completely got very connected, which is really a really good sign of a good game. And I saw a post today which said, I tried Baldur's Gate and it wasn't for me. And I was like, no, surely not. And I clicked on it, and it was like this whole piece about how that was what this person had thought was going to be the case, but actually they'd completely fallen in love with the game and were hooked. So yeah, it's not just me.
Awesome. We'll look forward to talking about it more when I think when it comes out on consoles, I should think, because I'm very tempted to look into it, definitely, with all the hype around
Definitely recommend it. Yeah.
And I've never really found anything in that vein that has been better than Dragon Age Inquisition. That was my first proper fantasy RPG. and it's one of those things that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I am definitely in the mood for a massive fantasy RPG. I've been doing, so there's games I've been playing, and one gaming related thing that I've been working on, which is I need to talk about. So I'll use this to talk about it here. So the main thing I've been playing is Hitman. Because there's a new game mode out in the last year called Freelancer. I might have mentioned this before, where basically there are 17 maps that constitute the entire game series, and it gives you random targets to find and assassinate in certain ways in it. And so it's the first game that sort of like Caroline plays a lot of, where it's those ones where you could say it's just the same thing over and over again, but there is a richness there that has allowed me to just play it and play it and play it and just derive tremendous enjoyment and comfort and brilliance from it without it taking anything from me, without it needing to be anything like serious. And I've come to think of it as it's like fishing. It's the sort of activity where you just go and sit, and if you catch a fish, you catch a fish. If you don't catch a fish, it's fine. And it's been a tremendously powerful mindfulness and mental health tool in a way that I'd never expected. So that has been an incredibly supportive thing for me. And it supports me doing something which has not been going as well, but it's improving. So I'm learning how to make video games in general, right? And I had the idea, I want to learn how to make mods, and I want to make mods stand that bit. And I'm trying to do it with Stray, right? And now I've gotten to a point where I feel like I understand all of it, how it works. But for the last month and a bit more, I have been trying, there's this final step where you package it all together and put it into the game loads it. And every single time I'm trying to change the colour of the cat's face. I'll do it, I'll try it, I'll drag and drop it in, load the game, and the cat just sits there looking exactly the same.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's mortifying. It couldn't be more like a cat. Just you trying something, it just sitting there like, was something supposed to have happened?
Literally just like a real cat.
Feeling like, so yeah, that's
just like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah. So that's another exciting thing that I'm doing, but it is
frustrating. Yes.
But it's game related, and I needed to tell someone because it is really exciting.
Do you know what other game I forgot that I've been playing recently that I completely forgot to mention? I jumped back into Assassin's Creed Black Flag for lulz, and forgot actually how good a game it is, because I started playing it and I was like, oh yeah, love being a pirate on the ocean, singing some sea shanties, excellent sea shanties. They were all made especially for the game. Obviously some of them are, well, most of them actually are real shanties from the time, because Assassin's Creed is nothing but attempting to be historically accurate. So that's always fun. But yeah, as I went on, I was like, well, I'll just do this one more thing. And I'll just do this one more thing. And I kept going and kept going. So I ended up playing it for about 2 or 3 days on the trot. And just forget, like, it's amazing when you jump back into a game that's maybe 5, 6, 7 years old now. And you think, yes, it's aged, but actually this was a really good time. So it's quite nice to sometimes just jump back in and remind yourself how much you enjoyed an experience, which I certainly did with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Bear with me. And screen just decided to die. But yeah, no, that was lovely. So thank you guys for sharing those games that you've been playing recently. And that brings us on to the topic of the pod, which is video game music. And I think our first question for that would need to be, in terms of how music enhances your experience when gaming, do you find that it does definitely enhance the gaming experience, or does it just not do anything for you? How important is music in the games that you play?
I think it's incredibly important.
Yeah.
I mean, it sets the tone, it sets the mood. It was interesting, actually. I was listening to the radio today, and I'm going to just give my age away here by saying there was, in fact, Radio 4. And they were talking about theme music at the beginning and the end of TV shows and stuff. And they were saying that Netflix had announced that vast majority of people just skip through that.
Yeah.
And they were talking to a composer who actually composed the modern version of Doctor Who, the Doctor Who theme music when it was rebooted. And he was saying, you know, that he said, I don't really care whether people listen to it or not. I think it's good that it's there, but if people want to skip it, then fine. But he said, you know, it is often worth listening to it because it sets the tone for the show, and it sets the mood for the thing that you're going to do. And I think that's really true, and that's just as true for games as anything else. I mean, we all know Eddie Izzard did this excellent sketch about, like, you know, how if your life was given a theme music, or if you're watching a horror movie and there's some people walking down a path and it's like there's two paths and they take a step down one, it's like do 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 do, and it's like, don't go that way. You step down the other one, it's like la 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 la. It's like, okay, I'll go that way. And I think, you know, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like the music in a game helps to give you that additional sense that you don't have touch and you don't have smell, so having that music there to set the tone and set the mood and impact your heart rate and all of that. And I certainly know that when my daughter's gaming, so when she plays games, like certain music, actually she reacts very strongly to those music. And so she'll be like, oh, I'm really stressed because the music is like da 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 da, you know. And I think so it really can actually really enhance a game. And I definitely wouldn't want to play. I don't like games with crap music or no music. It just
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that because games are never about the music. The music isn't the central. The music is a supporting part of it, and I find that the best music is ones where you can. It's sort of it does its magic without you noticing it's there particularly, but then so you get the benefit from it, and then if you choose to stop and look specifically at the music, you realize, oh, this music is extraordinary on its own outside of the game. And that's stuff like Elden Ring. Oh my God.
It's so
the music
good.
in that. Elden, the kind of songs that you hear 5 seconds and you go, oh, that encapsulates the entire game. That captures all of it. And also in the latest God of Wars and the old God of Wars, actually, you just hear the bomb, 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 and then the doo, 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 and then it's those two bits is Kratos and his wife's lament, and those are the two. That's the backbone of it. And I think her name is Yuka Kitamura. She's one of the lead composers for From Software that makes the Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro soundtracks. And it's that kind of you need, in order for your game to be transcendently good, it needs to have transcendently ambitious music. But it's getting that balance of it needs to be ambitious, but not being ambitious to take over the show.
Yeah.
It's ambitious to be, I'm going to be the supporting actor that makes, it's like with Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. Because when Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have a decent supporting actor, he just looks like he's acting really, really hard. But he had Tom Hardy there opposite him, and Tom Hardy he's that next level of actor that brings it up. So yeah, music. Oh, love music.
It's interesting that you say that games music should be like the supporting actor, or like to kind of frame the narrative and things like that, because some games actually the music is pretty central to the game. I mean, a couple of examples I can think of are like Wii Music, which is naturally about making music, and also a new release that's come out recently, Stray Gods, which is a role-playing musical, which I'm very interested to look into, definitely, in which the music is what you're shaping and what you're controlling, which is really interesting. But yeah, I do agree that like if you don't notice the music, it's also doing its job as well, definitely, because I think it does a great job of setting the mood and the tone and of guiding the player for how they perhaps maybe the game developers want you to be feeling in certain moments, or think that you perhaps I think it also acts as a great kind of a clue to what could be coming next. Oftentimes when I get to an area and the music is quite tense, I'm like, okay, well, there's going to be some combat here in a minute because the music's quite tense. Or like, I think I remember it was in Skyrim, I was just like sauntering along on a path on my horse, and then the music would be like dun 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 dun, and then I'd turn the camera around like, where's the thing that's attacking me? I can't see it. And it would be like halfway back down the path, like slowly coming after me. It'd be like, oh, okay. So obviously I triggered that music and then just went too quickly past for the combat to be happening, but that's always quite fun. But yeah, I think even from the very beginning of gaming, when we think about like chiptune music, even then you still get the sense that like it's creating a mood. If you think about games like, I don't know, Space Invaders and things like that, it was actually quite menacing music, even in chiptune form. So, and then you've got things like the music in Overcooked, which is always quite jolly and fun. But when it speeds up at the end, you're like, okay, well, that's a clue. I've only got 10 seconds left to do something because the music's gone into fast forward. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of video game music. I have very, very favorite composers that I always pay attention to. And I feel like, I think we've turned a corner in the last sort of 5 to 3 years or so, that video game music is getting a lot more recognition outside of gaming as like a recognized genre of music, and one that should be awarded, which I think we're going to be talking about a little further down in this episode. So but yeah, it's just, without the music, I think you wouldn't have half the games selling as well, or making us feel the feels as much as we do. So yeah, it's pretty vital, really. So in terms of any games that you really love, are there any games that you love them because of the music in particular, or is that not something you tend to base your kind of preferences on?
Can you go first, Jem? I'm just going to grab a pen.
I don't know. I don't think there's been any games that I've chosen because of the music. But I think there have been some games that I have not played because of the music. Although I can't name any, but I know that there have been games where I've just been like, No, this is just too annoying.
Ah.
It's too frustrating. Or, yeah, I've like turned off the game music, in-game music, and then listened to my own music.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things that I came across when I was sort of thinking about what we were talking about today was some research that was done into how much music is streamed by people based on things that they do. Things that they do. So they looked at like all consumers of streaming music, and then they looked like just music subscribers, and then they looked at like gamers. And what they found was that out of those three groups, gamers were the more engaged with streaming music than anyone else, and actually spent I think it was like 50, I worked it out earlier, it was like almost 50% of their time, probably about 45% of their time streaming between 6 and 20 hours of music every day. So what they was so they were saying, you know, I mean, that's slightly different than what we're talking about, because that's not in-game music, but it does go to show that gamers care about music. So they might be listening to them streaming from, you know, iTunes or Spotify or whatever, Google, Amazon, and but they are listening to music when they're gaming, and they are listening, you know, gaming and music listening and music definitely go hand in hand. And so, yeah, I think it can make all the difference. So for me, when I used to play World of Warcraft, because I used to play that so much, I knew all the tunes, and I was just so bored of the in-game sound. So that I used to listen to music a lot then, and just listen to all my own music. And actually, it was quite complicated, because at the time I would be using online chat systems, so I had to have a setup so that I could have my stereo sound, my stereo, because this was back in the days when I actually had a separate stereo, but I was also using MP3s. That's also very old. But I'd have my music coming out of one set of speakers, and then I'd have game sound coming out of another set of speakers, and then like be able to switch between that and chat.
Yeah.
Voice chat, because it was just, you know, so it's a lot easier these days to do, you know, you can do it all off one set of headphones if you need to, you know. So it's but yeah, I don't think there's any games that I've specifically played because of the music. Although I did like it when my daughter was playing Minecraft, and she used to just have it on pause, because the Minecraft music is really chill. So
nice.
if you're going to have a game on pause a lot, it's nice when it's like a chill
For sure.
game.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one who listens to stuff while I'm gaming. I can't imagine just playing. There's almost no game where I would play it without having something listening to or watching in the background. So like I've got is it a podcast or a movie or music or tons of things, because it's such a, we get to engage with our entertainment in a way that people who just read books or just watch TV, it's a far more immersive and engaging experience, I think. When it comes to, I was just looking through a list of the games that I've played recently, and so obviously classic Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Awesome. Games that I would go, oh, this is brilliant, and I'll listen to the soundtrack independently of it. Doom.
Yes, that's a good one. Yeah.
BFG song is one of the most epic bits of heavy metal ever. some honourable mentions: Death Stranding, extremely beautifully curated soundtrack. God of War, Ghost of Tsushima had some nice, that kind of big swooping Japanese style music.
Yeah.
Really nice. The game Neo, which is a lot like the Elden Ring, Dark Souls game, and when you die, it has the most pristine, peaceful, "Oh, don't worry, you died" music. That is just
Probably
that kind
need
of,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of music where it doesn't matter how many times you hear it, it makes you go, ah. And that's why I've got the I might play it later. The theme song for Elden Ring, I have that as my alarm sound
Oh,
for my
nice.
calendar and alarm. So like 6 times a day it goes pling. Da, 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 da.
That's great.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
awesome. One of so when it comes to like some games, sort of they'll have one song. Hideo Kojima, the Death Stranding Metal Gear Solid guy, likes to do this. Metal Gear Solid 5, it starts with a cassette player playing "The Man Who Sold the World"
Oh,
by
yeah.
David Bowie, and that song is, and the contents of that song is a microcosm for the game as a whole. If you play the entire game, you'll keep on coming back to that song is the soul of the game, and that's really rare. That's a very bold, creative decision to take. So yeah, there are so many different kinds of music that, particularly the ones that properly enhance what you're experiencing. That's so cool.
Yeah. I think for me, because I'm such a massive video game music fangirl, I definitely have my choices of game have definitely been shaped by who's composed the music. If I know one of my favorite composers has done the music for a game, I'll be more interested in it because they've done the music. I'll be like, oh, I'll definitely have to check that out because Austrian Wintry has worked on it, or Sarah Schachner, or Jessica Curry. Austin Wintry, you might know, is obviously most famous for Journey, and Abzu, and also actually Assassin's Creed Syndicate, among other things like Alien Fireteam Isolation, I think it's called, the multiplayer one. So he's done quite different types of games. Sarah Schachner worked largely on Assassin's Creed Origins and also Valhalla. And then Jessica Curry's worked on Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which is a completely different sort of game, and a very sort of almost I can't remember the name of the actual composer, like Elgar-esque. It's very sort of English countryside, traditional orchestra, choir, choral type thing, which is really, really interesting to listen to. As a soundtrack album in itself, it's really beautiful. But yeah, I'm definitely one for seeking out a game based on it. If someone I like has done the music, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah. So yes, I definitely fall into that category for sure. In terms of like the recognition of video game music as an actual category in and of itself and being recognized as something which is noteworthy in the music world, has only been a very sort of recent thing in terms of certainly awards at the Grammys and things like that. In fact, it only was last year, I think. I will double check because I have it here in my notes, she says. Here it is, yes. So the category itself was actually brought into being in February 2023. There was no specific category for Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games and Other Interactive Media, to give it its full title, until February of this year at the Grammys. So it's taken this long for it to be like officially recognised in its own category. And if you're interested in the winner, it was a lady called Stephanie Economou, who composed the score for Assassin's Creed Valhalla Dawn of Ragnarok, which in itself is a downloadable content, a DLC, which I think is really, really cool because it's only a small chunk of one other larger game. And it's been recognised in it by itself as an outstanding piece of work, which is great. Interestingly, before that, the category kind of fell into, but also TV and film kind of category, like a, what did it say it was? Had it somewhere. Find the official name. It'll be here somewhere. Oh yes. No, it is. It's basically interactive media was the previous category. So, and in that category, the only game to have won, even though it did include video games, was Journey, and that was in 2013. So, out of the whole time that it had been running, the only game before it had its own official video game category was Journey, which I think is quite interesting. But there have been other games, actually. Anyone who plays Civilization 4 would be interested to know Baba Yetu, which was a song arranged by Christopher Tin, which won the Best Instrumental Arrangement Accompanying Vocalists in the 53rd Annual Grammy Awards. So that was, I think, a little bit before when Journey won, so probably the early 2010s. And then in 2022, Charlie Rosen and Jake Silverman won the Grammy Award for Best Arrangement Instrumental or a cappella for their cover of Meta Knight's Revenge from Kirby Superstar, which is interesting as well. But yeah, so it's taken some time for video games to have its very own category in the Grammys. Do you have any thoughts on that in and of itself, or perhaps why video game music has taken this long to kind of be recognised?
I think that it's so Grammys, Emmys, Academy Awards, they are the three core pillars of establishment award shows. They're the oldest, they're the most venerated, but they are establishment, old world stuff, which means that for most of the time they have been coordinated by dusty old boring men who don't have the first clue about video games. And the music in gaming has been just growing and growing and growing and getting better and better and more impactful and important. The things like Academy Awards and Emmys and Grammys, they don't really matter anymore. I doubt there are many people under the age of 25 who give a shit about Grammys or Emmys or whatever. It just goes, well, I like this. So there's so much stuff out there. Why would I bother? On YouTube and Spotify, you can find a song you like, start a radio of it, and it'll show you awesome stuff. You don't need the recommendation of these dusty old...
For those older generations then that do pay attention to Grammys and Emmys and things, do you think it will change their opinions about video games as a genre if there's now an award?
I think it doesn't. I don't think it matters anymore, because in the past they were the kingmakers. These establishment institutions were the ones that got to decide who gets to go on shows, who gets a show, who gets to produce what. Whereas now, 3 people from 3 different locations in the UK can make a podcast and have that go out everywhere. And we don't need any dusty old men to give us permission to do it. So the more people seize the means of production, the more people, especially younger people, just do not care what old dusty men think.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any extra thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with Matt, actually. I think that the system is stacked with so many people who, I mean, we know from the lack of diversity in the awards and the fact that, you know, sometimes it improves and then we see a massive dip. It's like it's just sort of almost tokenism going on. There is something fundamentally wrong with the inner workings of the sort of big award systems. However, I do think that this is an example that, you know, maybe the cogs of that are moving and things are shifting. And I think that, yes, you know, it has always been dusty old men, but there's no reason why, you know, a younger, more dynamic group of people can't take over control of these you know, respected organizations. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of awards. I don't watch award shows. I don't pay much attention to them, but I do think that lots of people do. And I do think it makes a difference if your movie or your game or your book has a, you know, a respected award linked to it. I think that makes a difference as to whether people pick it up or not. So what I would like to see is I would like to see these systems being, you know, brought into the modern era and in line with sort of modern thinking. And I think that does require a bit of a, you know, well, a massive shake up at the people who are organizing it. So I think that the fact that games, I'm shocked that they've only just been added. I am shocked by that. I mean, to only do it this year is amazing. But I'm glad that it's there. And I think it will make a difference. I think it will give more credit. I think that things like this make people recognize that actually, you know, these are pieces of art in and of themselves, you know, associated with the game, but just like a movie soundtrack or, you know, a theatre score or whatever, you know, they are important. They are hard won and hard work has gone into making them, and they do matter. And I think, you know, like you were saying about soundtracks, game soundtracks being sold as sort of separate content, and I've seen that quite a lot now, increasingly, that games are doing that. And I often don't get it because I'm like, oh, I'm just going to give stuff away because obviously it's from the thing. But I know, but my daughter, who is, you know, a massive audiophile and just is always listening to music, although it's all like, what is it, 10-second bursts TikTok. She can't listen to like a whole song. But if we watch a film or go to the theatre or she plays a new computer game, the first thing she does is go on Spotify. Other systems are available, and you know, gets the soundtrack if it's there. And the times that she can't find the soundtrack for a game or whatever, she's has a total hissy fit about it because she just really likes to listen to the music that accompanies these things. So yeah, I think it's a good thing that they're going to start being recognized, because probably the people that do this stuff are generally feeling a little bit underappreciated.
For sure. I'm going to keep you all on tenterhooks and give you my answer to the question in part 2 of the next episode of our pod on video games. So for now, I will wrap up this episode. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. We have new episodes every Thursday, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Give us all a lovely rating, share your comments, share your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.